Good afternoon, YouTube. All of YTPC. Good to see you again. We're just having a lovely, fairly hot day today in Switzerland. Been sunny for the last couple of 3 days, which is nice. Just got all my garden work done and mowed the lawn because we were gone about a week. Just made a little trip up to Lake Constance, which is known in German as the Bodensee, and it's right on the north part of Switzerland, with one coast on the Swiss side and the other coast on the German side, and right to the east part of the lake you're on the Austrian side. So it's a three country bordered lake. And it's actually a pretty huge lake as well. I did make some video footage of that, and will in due course share that with you. While we were there, of course, we did a few day trips here and there, as well as being along the lake and enjoying that. We went to some interesting towns in that area, and one of them, which was actually only about 15 minutes drive away, is St. Gallen. And St. Gallen is a lovely town to visit if you've ever got a chance in Switzerland, because it's very, very old. And the old part is quite large and nucleated, so there's a lot to explore there, and a lot of history that you can enjoy. Well, I'll get back to that in a second, but a little bit of housekeeping, I guess. I got a packet this morning from Milan Tobacco. It arrived actually a week ago, but my post was held over for the time we were absent, and then the post delivered it today. And was really a lovely package that I had there. 2 pipes were in it. One I'm smoking now, which is the Rossi Rubino Antico, in the shape of a Prince pipe, and you know I love a Prince pipe, and this will add to my collection. Sometime I'm going to actually make a video just about my Prince pipes, because I love them so much. And this one has got a lovely smooth finish and a nice stain grain that's on it, beautifully polished, and really is beautifully made, you know. So sometimes you'd think Rossi is the second line of Savinelli, but many a time I think they're as beautifully made as Savinelli's. It's just another line. This one is 6mm, so I've got a Parisa 6mm filter in there. It's just beautiful, and they had great deals. I think this was like $55 or $58, something like that. I was lucky that Milan sent it to me, because they stopped really exporting about a year ago, but very kindly to old customers who they've got on their books, they try and accommodate them even so. So I was very, very lucky, and while I was about it, of course, I thought I'd take the opportunity to get a few more things. And I've always admired CJ and his cobs. You know, he does lovely painted cobs, and you've seen them several times on my channel. And one that I didn't have, which I just think is beautiful, is this Appalachian Sunset. Normally he does this on the Country Gentleman, but they were short of them at that time, run out, so he said, can we do it on this model, which is I'd have to look it up, maybe it's a Legend or something like that, 6mm filter again, and quite a large heavy one with a pretty deep bowl for a cob all the way to that knuckle. So, and he just does these beautifully, and that's the Appalachian sunset through the woods, you can imagine. It's a very autumnal type of pipe for me, so that's probably when I'll first smoke it, coming for the autumn time. Of course it's on Missouri Meerschaum, and this time he's actually signed it CJ, so must be a collector. Maybe I shouldn't smoke it at all, but I generally can't resist to smoke all pipes in my possession. So that's beautiful. 2 pipes, and I also got some of the Sugar Barrel and Poochie's blend, 8 ounces each, which I don't normally order that kind of quantity, but I know I like both of them, because I've tried samples, and I've stocked up now and jarred those up, so that's great. The other thing is I ordered some things from tobaccopipes.com, and one of them was, I think, recommended by Pipes 13. He was doing one of his bedside smokes, and mentioned he was smoking Prince Albert, but not just Prince Albert, soft vanilla. And I thought, that sounds up my street. I'm going to try some of that, because I quite liked Prince Albert, maybe a little bit more than Velvet, but you know, it didn't really wow me. But I thought with vanilla in it, then maybe. Excuse me a moment. By the way, have you seen my lighter? I got this from a little antique shop in St Gallen, and if you like antiques and coins and things like that, it's a great place to go to look around for things like that. And this is from about the late 50s, early 60s, a Japanese. It's called Supreme, the model, and you can find things like that for, you know, I don't know, $10, $20, something like that. And as you'd expect, Prince Albert soft vanilla is very mild, burly, a very light vanilla, but it's there, you pick it up. A little bit chocolate, tiny bit. And Cavendish, of course, is in this, so sweetness too. Very pleasant, easy all day smoke, you know, very, very pleasant. Always good to have some of that. Just listening to a little bit of piano jazz of old tunes, so I don't think there'll be any issue with them. A bit of iced tea on this warm day. One or two people asked me about this for a closer look. That's the top of a cologne bottle from Lord George, which is a cologne from Penhaligon, which is a fairly pricey cologne, but when I'm in London sometimes I pick it up there, and they have these beautiful bottles, of course, and I thought when the bottle was spent it wasn't refillable, so I thought I can't throw this away, what can I do? So I took a brass bolt and eraldite, and now it's a tamper. That actually works very nice. Not very portable, I agree, but special occasions like Christmas you could use this, you know. Well, talking of antique shops, as well as that lighter, I found in a coin stamp collector shop some very interesting old coins. Now, before 1858, when the Confederation of Switzerland was formed together as a union of the cantons, the states, they were basically different republics and kingdoms, as it were, before that time. Where my wife came from, the Republic of Valleys, was one of the later ones to join the Union of Switzerland. By 1858 it was all complete, but you can still find the coins that they used in the different counties. So what they call batzes, which were the coins used at the time, like words equivalent to cents or pennies. So I got one from the canton of Valleys. I'll show you a photo which might show these much better, but that's a silver coated coin. It's not solid silver, but from 1721, and that was worth about 10 batzes. So doesn't sound much today. 10 Swiss Rappen or Swiss cents would be nothing today, but then it probably paid for at least a dinner, perhaps even an overnight stay, who knows. Interesting is, on that coin there are 7 stars, and today the flag for that canton has 13 stars, so it's a bit like America, you know. In this case it was council and parishes were added to the stars from 7 then now to 13. So always a piece of history, and I'm fascinated by these old coins to think what they must have seen being passed from one hand to another, the changes since 1721. That's about 90 years before the Battle of Waterloo, and 55 years before the War of Independence and Declaration of Independence in America. So very, very old things. 25 francs, so it's about $30 maybe for that coin. And this one is a coin from the canton of Solothurn in the year of 1811. So that is 4 years before the Battle of Waterloo. I always use that as a reference point. And this one is a little dark, but it's in brass. This is also 10 batzen. And that's actually in very good condition. Was a few francs more, 29 francs for that one, but rounds out my collection, which is not a tremendously special coin collection, but another thing I could take you through one time in a video which might interest you. But it's a little what they call a ramshackle collection, because you know, I haven't tried to collect sets, and I've only bought coins that I could easily afford, and you know, there's no real huge value to it, apart from, for me, it's interesting to take them out sometimes and look at them and wonder about the times that they were minted in, what things were really like. Now, we were talking about St. Gallen, and I think I've got a few clips here for you to see for the cathedral, which was most magnificent Baroque painted ceiling, very ornate Baroque. It's almost Rococo, or they said the late Baroque period, and the hand carving of the stucco on the ceiling and all of the woodwork is magnificent. It's quite extraordinary. One of the most beautiful cathedrals I've ever seen in my life. It really was. If you only just looked at the confession chambers, and they must have had about 20 of those on both sides, they were most beautifully decorated wooden chambers, so quite extraordinary. A friend of mine said once, he said, that's good about Catholicism, it's fun to sin and it's fun to confess, so it somehow works. Just a joke. We also went to the library, where we were not allowed to film inside because there were so many ancient books. I mean, I saw Bible versions from about 800 AD on parchment. Parchment is made of animal skin, and it's what they used for many centuries before paper became popular during the 1800s. First cloth was used to make cellulose fibres into paper, and then later of course wood, but before then parchment was the thing. And it's amazing how well it keeps and how spectacular these beautiful old Bibles look. And there were a great many from the 1400s and 1500s. Well, that's still 600 plus years ago. Some were actually written, many written of course in Latin, but some were written in a very old form of German. And really the beginning of the roots of the modern German language came from that time. My wife took a look, and just a very few words we could really recognize, but the history of this cathedral is extraordinary. And in that library room, strangely enough, there's a mummy, the daughter of a high priest of Egypt, and the mummy cask, and the mummy is displayed there rather strangely. I think they've had ownership of that since the early 1800s, but it's rather strange to see a mummy in a very Gothic old European library archive. But there it was, fascinating. Sometimes you're tremendously surprised by these things. So otherwise we walked around the town, and we saw these most fantastic carvings on the protruding window balconies, which were actually extensions of the rooms out onto the street, but they were carved with the most elaborate, beautiful figurines and beautifully painted. You'll see those in the clips I'm going to show. And of course we did sit down and have a quick lunch of a St. Gallen Wurst, a sausage, a lovely white sausage, beautiful, and a nice St. Gallen beer. Anyway, take a look and see what you think. So we're doing a day trip here in St. Gallen, the old town of St. Gallen, one of the famous cities in Switzerland, famous for its university, which is, if you're studying economics, one of the best known. And it's a very old town with beautiful architecture, like this beautiful fountain here, which is just something splendid. And it's actually a tribute to the water supply building program in the 1800s. That made this absolutely glorious statue with these lovely figures around it, turtles and ducks, and 1895 in fact. Beautiful. And lovely architecture around it. This is the UBS Bank. Of course, they often are in the nice old buildings. And all around you, you find in this town some lovely architecture. It's also famous for sausages, the St. Gallen Wurst, as they call it. The sausage is one of the particularly good ones in Switzerland. Window balconies. Look at this. This is Rococo gone mad. Look at the carving there, and you see that funny figure. There's either the old man of the woods, you know, or the green man, and the one sticking his tongue out up there is the König, old mythical figures from folklore. Germanic and Swiss folklore, and held up by these kind of, well, it's half monkey and half lion, whatever that is. Quite extraordinary, huh? I can't believe here in St. Gallen the depth of these lovely buildings, like the carvings, and then there's another one here. Some are done in, of course, stone. 1763, 65. Isn't it gorgeous? They are everywhere. Beautiful. Oh, how about this? Got Europe, Asia, Africa and America, and these fantastic exotic figures with what looks like eagles flying in front of these human figures. Quite extraordinary, huh? Look at that for carving. Beautiful. Here's some information about the cathedral. 1755 and 1767 was the period it required to build. And of course it goes back much further as a holy place. Much in the late Baroque style they describe it here, which is the more exotic and sometimes, as I said, Rococo type of architecture. But it is actually huge. See this plan layout, and there you see all of the cloister buildings. So the monastery, still in use, is also huge. Unfortunately, it started raining, so this may restrict the rest of the videos I'm doing of St. Gallen, but I'll do my best. The cathedral is the court of St. Gallen for Handelsgericht, so that's all business-related cases, and Anklagerkammer, so the prosecutor of the canton is active here. What a thing to have between two beautiful churches. But I was talking about, of course, sin and confession, and I guess you get a lot of confessions in there too. Actually, the cloister, of course, is part of the cathedral. And there you see these most magnificent Baroque ceilings. Some people doing a tour there. Look at that, it's absolutely glorious. Totally. It's one of the finest examples of a Baroque ceiling that I've seen inside a cathedral anywhere. Very elaborate. It must have taken decades to paint. And a beautiful altar there at the front. And should you wish to do confession, they have a whole battery of confession chambers down here. Must have been a lot of sinning back then, you know. And of course on the other side, confession, confession. A friend of mine said that's a good thing about the Catholic faith. If you sin, you can confess and you feel better as well. So he said, in fact, both things are great. Beautiful pulpit there. Look at that lovely gold inlay. Extraordinary. And the most ornate statues in these lovely frames. It's almost Rococo. It's so ornate and beautiful. Quite extraordinary. So we actually see 3 organs. You can see through the rail, one on that side. If you look at the pipes, and then on the other side, near to the altar, you see some of the pipes there on the right hand side, and then look at that for an organ. Now listening to Bach from that organ must be fantastic. Just getting a view of this magnificent carving on the confession chamber here, one of the many here. I'm sure after confessing in this glorious object, one would feel certainly holier than before. It's absolutely exquisite workmanship. Beautiful. An inspiration to pipe makers. If you could include some of this on one of your briars, that would be impressive. I don't have an ideal weather day for it, but quite extraordinary. And of course, like in any Swiss city, there's loads of chocolatiers and conditories making tarts and beautiful creamy pastries and their own chocolate. This is Cafe Shara, which probably is well known to all in St. Gallen. And they make lovely truffles and sweet things. And it's holy chocolate because it's so close to this beautiful church. I often think, say what you will about religion and Christianity, but without it, what would our architecture be? At least the heritage that we have from these magnificent buildings. Tourist information over there. And here is this magnificent monastery, the cloister, as they call it. And Gallus was one of the holy monks, or a holy saint, and there he is on this fountain. I just love this truss work in these buildings here. Right, look at that. And it is pretty huge, at least on a Swiss scale. They don't come much bigger. So this is the Swan House in 1446. The seal of St. Gallen 1566 up there in the middle, beautiful. And at various stages in history it was renovated. And look at it now, you see, the beautiful swan there. And again, this fantastic exotic baroque with figures and fruit and all the way to the top. It's one after the other. And some, as you see here, with strangely rather frightening figures. Not only the beautiful and exotic, but well, I hope you all enjoyed that little walk around St. Gallen. It's not so famous for tourists to visit it as is Lucerne, for example, or Zurich, or maybe even Basel, but it's a wonderful city to explore. I can recommend it to you. Well, I would like to make some shout-outs on this occasion because I'm way behind. Talking of which, if you like walkabouts or hiking and videos about it, and especially for my colleagues in YTPC in the UK, but others also, there's a channel called Tom Outdoors, and Tom Outdoors is an absolutely brilliant video maker of his hikes, and usually he's camping with his girlfriend Candice and sometimes other friends, and explores a lot of the southern part of England, east coast, but ever more different areas, and he does a brilliant video with a lot of history and explaining what things were about, and the footage is brilliant and the music is brilliant. So have a look at Tom Outdoors and his channel. It really is spectacularly good. Now to my channel, my shout outs to David Green. I think you're a hockey player, sir. Welcome to my channel. Mick Moore, you developed the 40-litre nano tank for shrimp. You must be quite an expert on tanks. You should talk with our hermit piper Tim about those, or maybe Tim, you have a look at his channel. Young Pipe Smoker did a nice review on Frogmorton Cellar recently. Real Gone Greg, 1950s review about rock music, was very good. Radion 76, a mountaineer person I think, and expert about reindeer. Talking of mountains, we've got Mountain Metling, and that's about his channel is about metal detecting in Colorado. Welcome to my channel, my dear friend. I actually have a metal detector, so I will be looking at your channel more. Alexandro Dumitraci, I hope I half pronounced that right. A lot about health and health issues. If you have floaters in your eyes, he has a video about that and how to get rid of them. So it's always fascinating that people that subscribe to me, when I look at their channels, I learn enormous amounts in completely different directions sometimes. Austrian J, hip hop and beat music. Welcome, sir. Aussie Bulldog, great channel from down under Australia, and he is a pipe restorer amongst other things. So very interesting to look at some of the pipes that he's fixed up. Matthew Boyagian, you are a cigar smoker, sir, as well. So for YTPC members who like cigar smoking, have a look at his channel. Once Upon a Pipe, nice happily family man, I would describe you as. Lovely channel. Welcome to Redcoat's Return, my dear friend. The Deplorable Basket Piper. What an interesting name. So he was also smoking some Germain's Brown Flake, and obviously is a fan of that one. Derek Duffner. I think you're interested in tigers, but I wasn't sure. Harold Smokes. My dear friend, welcome to my channel, and thanks very much for subscribing. I've looked a good number of times at your channel, and you did a nice review on Samuel Garwith Flake with Perique, which was interesting. Magician Piper, I thought you were already subscribed, my dear friend, but welcome aboard. We can certainly use your skills in these times. Marco Roos, who is a piano player, welcome to Redcoat's Return. Lone Star Patriot, Precision Firearms, very interesting. I have, of course, my interested in pistols, but I'm interested in old technology, swords, and all kinds of things like that, armor and the metallurgy that goes into that. So fantastic. Well, my dears, that's it for this edition. Thanks very much for tuning in. Quite soon I'll do the rest of our trip around Lake Constance, which might be interesting for you. And I've got a long list of other ideas which I will start to make videos for. So stay tuned and look after yourself, keep well, take care everyone, bye bye.